there we go. Gotta hit F3 there myself.
This is it, guys. This is QuakeCon Duel Masters loser bracket final. We're in the best of 5 with K1llsen and Evil, 2 of the top European players, seeing who is going to be facing off against Rafa on that grand final stage. K1llsen at the moment managed to get himself a hearty chunk of armor, looking for some early rocket damage.
No, yeah, K1llsen's already looking for some trap damage, taking away that early red armor, and then coming right back into the red armor room to see if Evil's going to be kind of stalking about, even closing off this this teleporter. But we've got Evil down below with the railgun, something that K1llsen hasn't managed to pick up just yet, as K1llsen takes away that second red armor, something that Evil, knowing that, you know, he hasn't pushed out to upper yellow armor, he hasn't pushed out to rail, so I can afford, you know, take 2 red armors, cool, no big deal. But as K1llsen takes away weapons, we know how dangerous he can be with that rail.
Actually, Evil's rails have been decent as well, but K1llsen taking a lot of the armors at the moment is really keeping him in good stead. Although Evil has been better at doing the damage output.
All right, so Evil actually staying on the mega side of the map here just to do damage through the window by the look of it. K1llsen looking for that drop rail, just barely whiffing it. So now he's looking for the window shot on Evil, but Evil's not going to give him the easy one. He's actually going to be coming in from the other side. K1llsen having to react, doing some good defensive damage. But it's going to be all about this mega, a mega that K1llsen takes away, and Evil nails in the 1 rail. 2 seconds left to red. Is that 1 rail enough for Evil to justify it? K1llsen is not willing to give him the option even, going to be shutting him off from the upper YA pathway.
Evil's been fantastic with the damage so far.
Yeah.
He's just not been able to get his feet on all of the important items the same way. He's probably floating around 100-100. Items coming out very similar times. So I wonder now how K1llsen's going to negotiate as many of these major items for himself, or if he's just going to go for a very safe play and say, right, Evil, you can have one and I'll take the other. It's more surprising that he actually decides to go for the red instead of the mega. I feel like that's a... Wow. That's a play saying that he's happy for Evil to take first choice in this decision-making process.
Yeah, so at the moment he's been allowing Evil to kind of dictate the pace of this. Just taking a lot of these defensive shots, pushing out from the items before collapsing back to them, shifting the focus of the fight away from the items itself to these hallways. And wow, that flyby rail almost colliding with K1llsen, but the fact that it didn't makes this 10-second mega a little bit more touch and go. I mean, we've already spotted Evil up top. He's all right. We know we're both here, so let's toss out some spam, see if these grenades get any 11.
Whoa.
It's actually some pretty awesome placement. K1llsen had to dodge quite a bit there, but as a result, without any hits, he's going to be fully 200-200. Evil, not so much.
Brilliant patience from K1llsen, actually. Love the way he's been playing at the moment. He's quite late to the red armor, leaving it up, and which Evil hasn't fallen for any bait.
Oh, that one rocket knocking K1llsen off. K1llsen cannot chase now. And I don't think he's going to find Evil to cut him off close range here anytime soon. Evil's been doing a good job of avoiding those close range fights, knowing that K1llsen has a stack advantage, just hoping to rely on the splash, the spam, and maybe even the rail. That LG's actually doing a tasty amount of damage as he takes away the mega health. So K1llsen's going to be looking for the 1 rail on the red.
A few shots at the moment.
Yeah, that 1 miss is a bit of a problem, especially since now we've seen, from the back. We've seen Evil take away 2 items with relatively little damage traded either way. But that jump pad could be a problem for either of these guys. Get off of it! It's going to be the LG going either way. K1llsen backing out of there with 31 health. How did none of them die? But Evil getting the last laugh there, or rather the first laugh. First frag. Oh, there's beautiful bind. 1 on 0.
That was very close. I'm surprised that K1llsen almost made it out of that encounter. Maybe in hindsight you don't want to go for that yellow and challenge at that point, but extremely messy fight.
Should we add the bouncy plays to the map pool now?
Oh my god, these rockets were almost incredible. I thought that just went straight through Evil's face there. He does go 2-0 up. There's 5 seconds until red. Can K1llsen lay down any additional pressure? That's a no. Rail from below, but it is going to hit nothing but wall or ceiling.
All right, but we got Evil here now, more than willing to wait out on this mega. He's only 100-100 though, giving K1llsen time to scour the map for weapons, and once again he drops down right on the pad and gets away with it. Evil a little bit surprised there, but collapsing back over to mega. Well, I say collapsing, but he might be falling here as he's a little bit weak, and K1llsen's going in very close range, getting dropped once again, but Evil's LG is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, K1llsen's trying to get behind Evil and make these sneaky plays, and the first part of it is very successful, but he's not landing the shots as well and putting Evil off his game. Again, what Rafa said, that even if you hit that first rocket, Evil does not get phased by that.
Right.
His aim continues to be excellent. And K1llsen getting caught out with the rail. Evil's going to be pushing in, almost securing himself the kill. There's no yellow down below for K1llsen to take. So 5 minutes into the game, he's playing a very defensive game. Another direct rocket from K1llsen. But there's just nothing to follow up apart from items to be taken by Evil.
That's unfortunate. You can see that he was going, all right, I can't really make a presence on either of the items. If I just go for 25s and stack on back, I'm going to lose a lot of time. So I'll try to take the 50, deny that at least, and maybe do some close range damage on Evil. But that rocket pop put even that decent plan out the pasture.
Wow.
Nice.
Barely a pixel there, and Evil nails that shot. Red up, and K1llsen's going to be able to grab it. Evil's waiting a long time to get this item. He's on a essentially starting stack right now, which gives K1llsen a chance to get himself around the map. Mega's up, and K1llsen didn't go for it. A strange amount of respect given. He drops on the LG, and that is just forfeiting your life right there.
Yeah, pinned up against the wall, but K1llsen can find him very early on the jump pad. Evil looking for the rail before popping through the teleporter. Can K1llsen afford to be here? Tries to get in close on those rockets, but not having any other weapons makes that a solid no. So 6-0 here as we enter our final 4 minutes.
I think there's been some plays that K1llsen's trying to make which would work against your average Joe, but Evil isn't one of them. He's going to be able to counter that. His combat skills are I say K1llsen's rail is definitely a little high, but the rest of it, Evil should be having the trump card.
Again, trying to make something happen with those grenades, but being absolutely brutalized by that LG. Evil denying. Well, I'm not sure that was an intentional delay because that puts the Mega and the Red right back up on top of each other. I'm not sure he had Mega timing at that point.
I think Evils might want to just be doing damage and see which one does K1llsen go for, and then pick a fight there.
Find a fight and get a 7-5 perhaps. Or make that maybe even an 8 here. He's going to have an opportunity before this even comes up. So K1llsen at the Mega. I'm not sure either of these guys have a good read on where they're going to be, but Evil is able to rely on his stack and his aim, and especially his rocket placement to secure these shots. But finally we have K1llsen's rail starting to warm up a little bit once again.
Likewise, Evil. I mean, I'm very curious. Is he hitting at the moment?
Not bad.
Very, very respectable aim at the moment from Evil, and he's been hitting incredibly important shots. But these fights, it's a mystery. The fights that K1llsen was picking before against Zero were nothing like this.
Right.
I don't know. He's trying to really assert himself overly aggressively. I kind of like it in a way because you're trying to show that you're not afraid to have a fight, but you're also losing the duel quite severely, and if you're 10 frags in and things aren't working, you probably should try something else. Although granted, there's 2.5 minutes left.
So now 10-0, 200-200. Is this anything like you expected here on Sinister?
I honestly felt it should be a little bit closer. The beginning was fairly close when they spawned. They were still 0-0 at that point. But things did. I guess it took about 5 minutes for it to really become quite convincing that Evil looks as if he's comfortable to take the win here.
Absolutely. Well, K1llsen hasn't GG'd out just yet. He wants to milk a little bit more action from this map, maybe glean a little bit more info about how Evil plays, but I think he's gotten plenty of that information so far.
K1llsen, he just needs to chill out a little bit.
Right.
Not feel as if he's got to do everything so fast. And look at all the damage that he's done. K1llsen going down once again, just frag after frag.
At this point, he doesn't really need to chill out. I mean, this map is a done deal.
Fully agreed there, but this, it's getting pretty steep at the moment.
Right.
You're not looking for the comeback anymore. You're looking for just hope in the rest of the series.
Yeah, just maybe getting a little bit more accustomed to how Evil's moving, but I think as K1llsen starts to play a little bit looser, Evil's going to be happy to as well. So, K1llsen might be able to actually take a frag just because of that reason, but it won't be much more than door prize.
I don't know if Evil wants to even give him a frag at this point. Oh, missing that movement.
See, now...
It's your chance, K1llsen. You can do this. You need a rail and something else. What is...
Classy. Nothing but class. But yeah.
He gets something, I guess, and Evil's got his small bind, I guess. I mean, I don't think Evil's going to be really concerned at this point. Much.
Yeah, so it's so bizarre that one of the first defining fights was both of them getting stuck on a jump pad at lower yellow armor. I mean, that's sort of the shenanigans you expect, maybe later in the match, but for the very first one, really?
I think if it was an even fight just on flat ground, I'm pretty sure Evil would have won it anyway, just because of how stacks worked out. That injection of chaos in the fight meant that K1llsen almost had a chance of getting the frag himself, but I don't see why he felt that actually I can play a slow game later on and feel to have a chance. K1llsen is going to be calling the GGs.
But that is a highly solid play on Sinister here for Evil.
Yeah.
So with the final 8 seconds, we're going to be going into the next map here in just a moment.
I'm very curious to see what the level of the damage differences were between the two players. I think it's going to be 1,500.
Wow.
Although
Yeah.
from when it actually really mattered in the game, you're probably looking at least 500 extra damage.
Yeah.
And the control on the items is actually it's actually fine.
It's kind of what you would expect for a much more closer scored game.
If K1llsen's damage was better, then it's fine for it to be out of control a lot of the game, and as long as your damage output is decent. But it simply wasn't that. It left much to be desired.
Well, you'll have a bit of time to make up for it here as we go into map 2.
Looks like we're going to be getting furious heights next between the two of them. They want to go to Zeta.
Okay.
This is obviously a very good map for Evil, but we also saw K1llsen playing amazingly well. Yeah, amazingly well versus 0-4. So I wonder if he can get some of that aim back that he showed us before. This should actually be a very decent map between the two of them. On paper, this is positive to be watching. Looks like Evil's just tabbing out a little bit for a second.
Lag, man. All right, so they're going to be hitting F3 here in just a moment. And yeah, this is one I'm expecting a lot from both of these guys on, to be honest.
Yeah, and K1llsen's got to stop feeling as if he's, there's a sense of urgency that he needs to push.
Yeah.
Play it slowly. In a way, where the way Rafa and Evil are playing with it was very slow and detailed. Try and replicate a style like that where you're able to make your own decisions in a more sort of drawn-out process.
Exactly.
We are starting the map right now. It is map 2 between Evil and K1llsen. And if Evil wins this, he'll be putting himself on match point.
K1llsen getting his preferred spawn on the rail and red armor. Going to be looking for a rocket launcher. Going to be a little bit noisy down the stairs, but Evil's going to be safely far away from him as he takes away 100 armor and mega health. But that's going to be no rail for Evil just yet. So for the time being, K1llsen has a slight advantage in terms of weapons he can pull out, but Evil's making those angles very difficult for K1llsen to put together. Oh, and even expecting him to try and control the rail, says, no, I'm not even going to take the rail on the map, I'm going to take your rail. And he's going to take the frag as well.
And those rockets are absolutely savage. K1llsen felt that he had a hope in hell in doing something there, but Evil just doing enough damage with the algae to make sure that he is able to get that one-shot kill with the railgun.
Alright, so Evil now expecting K1llsen to go in for a jump on the red. And he might actually, he doesn't even pause to look across the street, but it's going to be K1llsen getting the grab. A little bit of a float there from Evil, but still decent damage either way. 5 seconds to Mega. K1llsen just doesn't have the weapons right now to really aggress on it.
What is he doing? Why is he pushing forward? This positioning from K1llsen is just a couple of steps difference, but it's making far too much difference in these fights.
Might have expected Evil to be a little bit slower off the pad of the Mega. And again, it's 1 second, 2 steps is all it takes, and with K1llsen down to 1 HP.
Why are you sidestepping so slowly? K1llsen, honestly, I mean, you can see him up at the top left, and it's just, there's a level of focus that is missing. It's not what we saw earlier at all. He's making some big mistakes that you would never expect him to make at this level.
Interviews are bad voodoo, man. Alright, so we got Evo taking away Mega here, and he's looking very comfortable on the stack, just pretty much refueling before coming back in to lay down the smack on K1llsen. K1llsen has a lot to make up for here. He's been able to take away 1 yellow armor here, make that 2 now, so at least 100-100. He has the ability to do some damage if he had the right weapons for it, but he just ends up eating 2 rails right off the bat. Doesn't even grab any more rockets, not really looking at a rail, just he knows it's not going to be safe. And there's Evil with a very close clipped rocket jump. Beautiful rocket damage coming out of Evil, so Evil's actually going to have to back off. K1llsen, if he can recover on the 50, yeah, there it is. We've got upper YA as well.
I've got to say, likewise from K1llsen with his damage, that was some excellent rockets from him. I was very surprised to see him survive just then.
He made it Evil back off instead of securing the frag.
No red, mate. It's not coming up,
he missed the red timing, yeah. It's weird, it didn't look like he heard the rocket jump from Evil, and he certainly didn't hear the pickup of the red. And he's looking for it. Oh no. Oh no.
I think Evil's going to... I don't think Evil's not going to realize that K1llsen is in this kind of situation.
These are seconds that K1llsen could have used to grab yellow, grab a few more 5s. That 50's not going to... Well, he should be timing the 50, I guess. He's the one who's been needing it.
It's a big item for him at this point in the game.
Definitely.
And you don't get in the way of Evil. Do not allow yourself to be railed, because it's slowing you down. Each rail is costing you about sort of 10, 15 seconds.
Right.
If not more, actually.
So with Mega taken away by Evil here, K1llsen's allowed Evil to go on a full shopping spree on the map, so now he's just hoping that whatever corner Evil comes around on, he can get the first shot, but it's not going to happen. Evil's actually going to get the drop on him. But again, the rockets are incredibly solid, but with 30 health, is it really worthwhile to try to push in or even try to break out of here? There's no 50 for him there. Again, he has to be the one timing it.
Oh, what?
And there's Evil
K1llsen
pulling in 4th frag.
just not expecting Evil to still be there. He's like, well, he's going to surely be running around the map and doing other bits of, other activities, picking up your Mega, what have you.
Activities, yeah.
Yeah. But he's just sitting there and waiting for K1llsen to give all the Sam Qs he needs to just pounce on him and take minimal damage himself, yet extend his lead. And he's just going to jump up and say,
Jeez,
this
no
is
respect, just absolute domination there.
This isn't even a lack of, it's almost a lack of respect from K1llsen. He's
Right, yeah.
like
You're
mentally giving
going
up.
to stand up there all day and just rain down grenades? Yeah.
Like, come on, you've got to switch something off. It's not like you've got another chance in the tournament after this. You've got to perform right now. Otherwise, yeah, going home in 3rd place. Respectable enough position, but it's not what K1llsen came here for.
He told us that he wanted more.
Yeah.
So right
You're
now...
not a liar, are you, K1llsen?
Well, he's going to be able to get that red armor. Can take a little bit of float damage from the LG from Evil there. But Evil, he can pretty much cap off the LG itself. K1llsen's going to be really noisy with those grenades. That's someplace where he could have actually maybe snuck away. But those grenades really did nothing but reveal his position. I gotta say, his placement of the grenades is fairly artful and interesting, but they're not really connecting.
Artful and interesting is a very nice way to put it. I guess he's trying to zone Evil out in some ways, but it doesn't seem to be having much effect. K1llsen's predicted Evil to be elsewhere. I mean, actually, his armor now and in the last 15 seconds looks better than it has in a while, but what is he doing just coming out with these grenades? K1llsen, you've got to get back. You've got to be using some weapons that you can actually do something with. And it's so hopeful otherwise.
It's still hopeful, it's still stressful just because Evil's only taken 5 frags off of K1llsen, so as we move into the latter half, 5 frags is not impossible by a long shot.
But it's still improbable.
In the words of a great British shoutcaster, there's still time. So Evil doing a lot of damage there, and honestly, if Evil doesn't frag K1llsen but just keeps doing these massive amounts of damage where K1llsen has to go back to the 50, go back to 25, go back to the yellow armor.
Oh my god, it's just domination,
that
these
actually
fights.
Might be a good thing for K1llsen. A fresh start might be appreciated.
He needs a fresh mind restart here.
Right. Well, he also got Mega right off the spawn, so, you know, it's a state where Evil just causes K1llsen to teleport to a better spot in the map.
He's taking damage straight away. He's just allowing Evil to do whatever he wants.
Let's see if he's got anything other than... Okay, he's got LG. He broke out for that. So red's going to be up. He's going to take yellow first. Is he hoping to have a close-range fight on the red? He's going to be silent here. The LG's damage is going to be decent, but he doesn't nail that rail. And so far, he's... What?
What? That's, I honestly, I blacked out there when I saw the number. That's unbelievable.
Do you remember Toxic last year? Something very similar happened here, where he goes from absolutely crazy rails to this. Was it last year or was it the year before? They're all kind of starting to run together.
Either or.
I think it was last year, yeah. But no, that's not the same guy we were seeing last round.
There is opportunity for him to sort himself out, but he's also got to start positioning better. And
right.
Honestly, if he's not hitting many rails, just try and hit more instead of trying to hit air grenades or something like that.
Well, honestly, a lot of the rails that he was able to put together in the last round were due to the positioning, knowing where his opponent would be coming from, and being able to kind of get into that pattern and that rhythm.
Good rockets there from K1llsen. Something might be happening for him now. LG below, looking for a rail shot.
There's no rhythm to get into here. All he needs to do is hit him. And yeah, that's just, it's a telegraphed shot.
Right, he's thinking that Evil's being very tricksy with him, and he's going to be pushing out on the other side, but Evil actually played it quite standard there.
Which in itself is pretty tricksy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so final 2 minutes coming up here.
The K1llsen's expecting like so much more from Evil, but actually I think Evil's beating him in a pretty simple game.
Wow, that's a tangled web for sure. And once again, K1llsen kind of getting caught out, and yeah, I think it's fair to say he's a little bit on tilt here.
Or if you can get onto that red armor, then look, his stack looks excellent. Work can be done here, and that's how you use the grenades. Evil just does them a little bit at a time.
He's like, you can throw useless grenades, I can throw useless grenades.
Well, no, I think Evil's grenades are very useful there. It stopped K1llsen going in there from being able to do any damage, whereas K1llsen's grenades have been like, I'm going to throw them from railgun up to the grenade platform, or I'm going to try... Yeah, I'm just going to try and block off the entire choke point of every exit on the red area. Not going to happen.
Gets one tick of damage off of Evil there before going in for the red armor, but we are definitely in the danger zone.
That one cell of damage.
But we're at the point now where if K1llsen breaks his concentration to go for items, then Evil will completely evade him every single time.
But he wants to hit with that rail. He wants something to happen with it.
Nice, there we go.
Starting to connect at a couple of shots. And he can actually get himself a kill if he's able to close the gap in with Evil. Where is he? But it's a minute and 15 seconds left. He's actually had some fairly decent control for the last couple of minutes. But he's
Control's
not.
one word. I think Evil might also be turtling up here a little bit, you know, taking some safer items, being a little bit more conservative, just not even giving K1llsen the opportunities to find these rail angles.
But K1llsen's not been in that sort of rut where he's had 100 health and 50 armor. He's actually had substantial resources to work with, but he decided, I don't know.
But this is
he's
one of those
beating
maps
himself up.
Where you get a few frags in the lead. If your opponent starts taking items, then cool. If they want to take items, then you can disappear, and Bloodrun is a fantastic map for disappearing.
I think he's warming up his rail for the next map, honestly. I think he realizes there's not much chance at the moment, and that he needs his aim to just spruce itself up.
Right. Oh, metabolism is a tricky thing, and oh, beautiful rocket.
That was damage there. That was something.
Hey, just, you know, maybe 9 minutes too late. All right, but 6-0 as we go into the next one here. Hey, he's brought himself up from 14 to 17.
It's getting worse, guys. I don't want to see the amount of rails that he's actually fired, because I think it's going to be way too many. And yeah, K1llsen, this is a map for him to forget. But, yeah, again, to quote Rafa, got to forget about this map. You move into the next game, and it's got to completely be wiped from your mind. 6 out of
You said you didn't want to see, so I wasn't going to tell you. You're just hurting yourself now.
I know. But this is not the K1llsen you expect.
No,
maybe it's
nothing to do with expectations. It's the K1llsen we just saw.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think K1llsen right now, he's trying to dig deep into his current mentality at the moment and see what is going on. He needs to take a deep breath, take maybe 60 seconds. It looks like we will be going to Cure next. Evil, I don't think his face has changed shape at all during the entire series.
This is stock footage. We're on a loop.
But maybe it's taking credit away from Evil, because Evil's playing an extremely solid game at the moment.
Yeah.
And if he's able to do that, and that's part of what he's doing, is preventing K1llsen from connecting all those rails, then that's astonishing. But it's not as if K1llsen hasn't been seeing Evil. He's been there, but he's just not hit the shots that are required. So I can't give Evil credit for that, because it's not like he's removed himself from the map in that respect.
Unless he can take this map,
he's been a visible target.
It's his last chance, and it becomes then a question of whether K1llsen is even providing good practice for Evil on the the upcoming match against Rafa.
I think it's a deal between K1llsen and Rafa.
I'm ready to be surprised. I'm ready for a miracle here.
Yeah, let's do it, guys. We're moving on to map number 3 of this loser bracket finals between K1llsen and Evil. It's match point for Evil if he wins. And there's grand finals for him at 6 o'clock. K1llsen going to be getting onto the Mega very quickly. Maybe it's better he just doesn't pick up the rail.
Really?
I mean, he's gonna pick it up, but just for thinking for a second, sort of theory crafting.
Well, Evil's going to disappear through teleporter. K1llsen's looking for the spam damage from below, also telegraphing his position fairly well. Evil's going to come down the stairs, and there's the initial rocket. The damage wasn't great, but keeping Evil off his back while he can take a relatively clean red is what it's all about here. 7 seconds left to Mega. K1llsen's going to have to either go upstairs or through a teleporter to get on top of it, but does he just want damage? I just want damage. Evil's going to make it very difficult to predict when that jump is going to happen. There's the jump to 1, and there's the 1 rail. 2 would make this certainly worthwhile. There it is, a little bit of LG coming from Evil, but K1llsen can now fairly safely assume that this red won't be challenged.
That was decent. Yeah. That was really nice from K1llsen. He hit 2 rails, which was very important. It had to be that at a minimum, otherwise I think Evil would have closed the gap on him.
Absolutely. So nothing like a frag yet. This is Cure, and we might be seeing a little bit of time there, but now we're starting to see these shots connect.
Oh, rail for rail right there.
They are being traded, though, so it makes these fights over the items a little bit more touch and go. We have 2 seconds left to Mega, and K1llsen with hardly any armor. Oh,
no. It's not there, K1llsen. You're a little bit late on that one, and Evil's going to have some extra resources here. These timing errors are not something you can make.
But
he's reading Evil well in
this
terms
could
of
work out,
position,
actually. This could work out because
wow,
for a
that's
second
from Evil.
Yeah, it could have worked out well because Evil was assuming that naturally K1llsen had already gotten the Mega. But so this turns into an item trade instead, but K1llsen's going to be weak, and that's going to be the first frag going over to Evil. With about 100 health left over, it's going to be difficult for K1llsen to grab a weapon and go up against him, especially as Evil recovers on yellow armor. Not only recovering, but denying any secondary items for K1llsen.
K1llsen just collected the shards down the lower corridor as well. We've got red up in a moment. Is K1llsen able to do that? Any exit damage on the red? He's not there. These are, oh, he does actually come in all of a sudden there. And Mega's going to be up momentarily. Is K1llsen going to want to challenge on this as well? See if he can output any damage? Does not look like it.
Evil does look like he's brushing off his shoulder like, no, we're not fighting right now. I've not mandated this. All right, but almost 3 minutes in, and you know, having one frag on this map is turning into a bit of an accomplishment by itself. So Evil, fully stacked up, might be wanting to get some comfort frags for sure. So red armor's going to be up, and he's going to be leaving it up as potentially bait here for the moment, or at the very least creating some offset timing so that he can start to cycle these items and start to make laps.
And K1llsen's just hoping that he doesn't take any damage at the moment. Oh, you can't take these rails. K1llsen, there's so many no-nos that are happening here. Somehow Evil manages to find his way onto that Mega, and a lovely movement from him. He's taking every single item right now. There's only shards and green armors, which is still, you know, a respectable amount of resources that he can take. But K1llsen's got to hit some of these rockets right now. Gets on the red and denies that. But there's not really enough damage that he did to Evil to allow him to continue pressuring off the spawn. I think he's got the shotgun, which is actually all right damage that he got just there, but he's going to have to float back over to the probably the railgun, I guess he'd go to.
And this delay in Evil's movement might change things up a little bit. Was he intending to grab the yellow? Did he just pull back on his jump to say, oh, right, while I'm here, I'm going to get yellow. But there's double armor for Evil. Mega's going to go to K1llsen, so at least they're starting to trade items a little bit here. So at least if they have a confrontation, K1llsen, if he can get the first shot in, make something happen.
It is about that a little bit. Oh, K1llsen, what a
There's
trap!
The LG trap on the jump pad. Evil not expecting it. That's not something you're going to see here on stream very often. So I hope K1llsen can make something come of it. I'm sure K1llsen's hoping.
Is he going to be able to challenge him? Oh, that's a massive 2 huge rockets and another one as well. 3-0 now, and K1llsen on the lower ground just is not able to make anything happen over there. And I would hate to see his expressions at the moment. I think he might be looking a little bit more and more broken because his game has just got into nightmare mode. 5.5 minutes left to start putting some frags together.
Yeah, as always, when your opponent stacks up to 200-200, they don't have a whole lot better else to do than look for you and start to use some of that stack to trade in for frags. But Evil's looking to, you know, just maybe play this one a little bit more straight. 3 frags is decent. K1llsen's going to be coming around the corner, but not pushing in on the Mega Room. But Evil is actually going to be leaving it up. And again, like the last map, leaving it up as bait might be worthwhile.
He doesn't have to worry about the timings too much at the moment, just because he's doing so well in the other aspects of the map. K1llsen, he does get himself on the red, losing health quite quickly, but his damage as well has been respectable.
Oh. K1llsen took the safe and easy pass by going in for 50 and yellow armor. If he managed to take away the Mega, that would have put Evil in a pretty bad spot. But as it stands, Evil's going to be able to recover here fully.
Fighting for the Mega right now is still a dream for K1llsen. He can,
Well, he got out enough in front of Evil. I think he might have been able to give him the slip.
Oh, no, it's down to the negatives. Here in the loser bracket file, K1llsen is having a nightmare. This is, he felt so confident as well moving into this map. It's polar opposite of what he would have expected, but I think this is a testament as well to just the solidity of Evil's play.
Well, if I
He's
thought I could,
absolutely rock solid.
If I thought I could bear it, I would be up for another K1llsen interview after this. But honestly, I don't know if I could.
No, I don't think he's going to want to talk. He's probably not going to want to remember the games that he's played there. Oh, well, a very simple roll there from Evil, but K1llsen missing
the
any
bar
kind of
is
important
right
shot.
outside these doors. It's a 4-1 here. K1llsen's going to do a little bit of push away damage on Evil, who's actually railable at this point.
K1llsen is slappable, so.
All right. But,
lovely
wow.
frag there.
Classy.
Evil with a bit of an air rocket and the rail of the spawn. Fantastic plays from Evil. showing us a bit of flair and really just sinking it in on K1llsen. He's just pushing the nail further and further.
So I guess the question is K1llsen going to play this one out? I think so far he's been more than willing to just let the clock run down and enjoy this time, earning this third place victory. You know, up against Evil and Rafa, that's not a bad pantheon to be part of.
No, indeed. I just felt like there's a massive gap between Rafa and Evil versus the rest of the field, essentially.
Right, yeah.
And I honestly felt that K1llsen had showed us enough light in his game that he would be able to be a challenge, but it's arguably been one of the most one-sided games that we've had in the Quake Live stream this
we've seen this sort of thing happen before. Again, Toxic, you know, it was, granted the situation was a little bit different where Toxic was playing incredibly well, and then there was a dinner, you know, and maybe he had like one too many burgers. And when he came back, he just wasn't playing to par.
Yeah.
But LANs are kind of tough that way. You know, you can kind of find yourself in the groove and be playing better than you could ever possibly play at home. But on the other hand, you could find yourself, well, you can find yourself having this happen to you.
Is K1llsen going to try and chase this one out? Evil. For the teleport exit, he's got the rockets out, and as soon as he picked up a weapon, it was going to make K1llsen's life a lot harder.
Right.
And he hasn't got much ammunition himself. He's got one more rocket, and he's got nothing else. I don't know what he's going to switch to, but it was perfectly dealt with by Evil.
Well, final 2 minutes, and again, I think this is definitely victory lap conditions for Evil.
Yeah.
Hopefully keeping sharp enough. And actually, the way he's been playing against K1llsen, I think we were discussing a little bit before, I think he's double-guessing himself a little bit less. And maybe playing things a little bit more straight and being more confident moving from room to room. So hopefully that puts himself in a good frame of mind for the grand final. Now, again, the grand final's not until 6, so he's going to need to stay sharp mentally until that point.
He's going to need to compose himself because Evil's probably already starting to think about, all right, now how can things change when I play against Rafa?
Honestly, this is not going to happen absolutely, but in terms of the way Evil's playing, this would be a good time to move directly into the final, but unfortunately, he doesn't get to do that.
Evil just showboating a little bit at this point. I mean, it's nice to watch that he's deciding to at least loosen up a bit and just go for some ridiculous shots at this point.
Right.
I think K1llsen, he's just playing out. I mean, he's being nice. Definitely, yeah, professional sporting thing to do, not just to forfeit immediately. But yeah, getting a chance to just wave his mouse around.
Yeah, so you know, earlier on we saw.
Oh my God!
Again, I was hoping it would be a different sort of story here on Cure, but I think K1llsen's maneuvering was pretty good. We did see one mistiming on the red a little bit earlier, but that didn't end up being quite so punishing because Evil kind of, you know, misread K1llsen's misread, so it was all right. I'll give him that one, but overall it was just, again, the damage output, being able to hit.
Yeah.
Being able to land rockets, but there's GG's call.
Good game there. Evil is going to take it 3-0 in that series, and it was an easy one. We cannot beat around the bush on this. It was the most convincing game we've had on stream this entire event. And I feel that K1llsen's going to be really gutted with his performance then because it was just, complete polar opposite to what we expect. As just saw on your screen, 62% rail we got from Evil. K1llsen not getting the whole, 17 or 22, whatever he had on the last game, but it just wasn't. It wasn't K1llsen that we saw.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah. My tiny violin is.
Well, you know, on one hand I got a tiny violin. On the other hand, it's very encouraging seeing Evil play that decisively and that competently. You seem unsure.
It says a lot about the level between the top two and the rest of the field.
It doesn't give us a lot of information about.
But I don't think that all of a sudden this is going to be, Evil's going to feel good now to go against Rafa. I don't think it's going to be that easy.
It's difficult because there's time. Obviously, we see sort of the mental differences in how he approaches Rafa versus how he approaches K1llsen. I think that's fairly obvious at this point. So, yeah, my only hope, just like I said, is I'm hoping he can just kind of maintain, you know, his hype.
Well, I think, remember though, going into the grand finals, Rafa will only need to win 2 maps to secure the series. And it's going to be Evil needing to take 3 as he's going to be coming from the loser bracket. So there's a huge amount of work for Evil to do. And
No pressure.
I feel that it's possible for him, but it's like a mental barrier that he's just not able to be penetrating, and hopefully that buzz of the grand final stage, because we know that he likes playing on that stage. He's obviously come here time and time again.
Yeah.
And he's got some money.
I think
in
they
the
brought
kitty
his
from all
chair
this.
out. Yeah.
But we'll see what kind of damage that he's going to be able to do. So.
Well, guys, I think we're going to be returning here shortly before finals. There's a lot going on stage, of course. There's going to be a lot of activities. We're going to be having Quake Live finals, of course. Also, the QuakeWorld 2v2 finals, which has been such a beautiful event.
That's been insane.
I personally want to say, thank you to ZeniMax and its software, to the players. It's been a real
likewise
group effort
as well.
Absolutely. For putting up an insane amount of prize money for the 20th anniversary of Quake.
It's fantastic, honestly.
So on both sides of the tournament room, this has been an absolutely amazing weekend, and we're going to close it off with a hell of a bang. So guys, 6 o'clock are when things get started up, but I think you should probably be here a little bit more towards 5:45 to get warmed up along with the players.
Hi, welcome back, guys. We are just going to go over to an evil interview. We've managed to locate a translator, and DDK is sat on the interview desk to have a little chat with him, so I'll send it over to you now.
All right, yeah, we managed to find a translator. We pulled one out, and it's Nikolai, so thanks for doing that for us. And, well, Evil, congratulations on winning the match. It looked very convincing. How do you feel right now?
Очень убедительная победа. Как ты себя чувствуешь?
Сейчас я себя чувствую намного лучше, чем когда играл с Рафой.
He's feeling much better than with the Rafa match he had.
Я был как-то перенапряжен перед игрой с Рафой
He was kind of nervous before the match with Rafa.
И еще даже был, толком не проснувшись, был очень сонный.
And he also had some like sleeping problems, getting insomnia and stuff.
Но после поражения 3-0 я как-то приземлился сильно и расслабился, и собрался заново на игру.
Yeah, but then after the score went to like 0-3, he was kind of getting relaxed and like grab himself and perform with the next match.
So normally it's a tough match against Rafa. Rafa normally wins in the finals. What is going to make the difference this time?
Типа Рафа обычно выигрывает в финалах, обычно с ними тяжелые типа матчи. В чем будет разница в этот раз?
Будет то же самое, что и в 2013 году.
He says it's gonna be the same like 2013.
То есть ситуация повторяется,
It's absolutely the same situation here.
но на этот раз посмотрим, кто сильнее.
Yeah, but who knows who'll win this time?
What's the hardest thing when you're playing against Rafa? What makes Rafa the hardest guy to beat?
Почему с Рафой сложнее всего играть? Что в нем такого, что делает его типа самым сложным соперником? Ну, для тебя конкретно.
Да я ничего не могу. Всегда проблемы только во мне.
He says like the only problem is me, so it's not about the enemy.
Okay, so you've been playing Quake for a long time, but some players, aren't here, like Cypher and so on. People are doing other things, but this is the 20-year anniversary. So what keeps you playing Quake Live and coming to the events?
Ты типа очень давно играешь в Quake и все дела. Что заставляет тебя 20, сегодня 20 лет Quake, что тебя заставляет держаться в этой игре и приезжать год за годом на турниры?
Да все просто. Я эту игру играю еще со времени школы.
He's been playing this game since he was like in school.
Это та же самая Quake 3.
It's all the same Quake 3 he used to play.
И так как турниры по ней проводятся, я участвую по ней, и мне просто как-то вспомнить былое, так сказать.
So he's saying he's gonna take part in it as long as the tourneys go on.
And how about a new iteration of Quake? Quake Champions, will that be something that you would compete in as well?
Я не знаю точно.
He doesn't know for sure at the moment.
Но посмотрим, смотря какие будут турниры. Ну и вообще, как сложится у меня в будущем.
It depends on the tournaments, the format of the tournaments they will have, and like the future. We'll see in future.
How was the practice leading up to this event? Are you feeling good? Will you be feeling good? Are you going to go straight to practice in the practice room, or are you going to relax now? How are you going to prepare for your grand final match against Rafa?
Как ты будешь готовиться к финальному матчу с Рафой? Ты пойдешь, потренируешься, что ты будешь делать?
Я еще пока не знаю. Наверное, немного отдохну и да ничего не буду делать. Я не знаю. Я просто буду ждать игры и все.
He's just gonna relax and wait for the game.
All right, well, I think that's more or less it. I don't have any other questions for you. Once again, congratulations. Looking forward to an amazing grand finals. Thank you very much for the interview. And I'm going to send it actually to a pretty long break. We'll be back actually at 5:45 local time to continue with all the finals matches for Quake Live and also QuakeWorld here at 2016. So stay tuned and we'll see you later.